All right, y'all. Welcome to another episode of Good Content. We are going in today because let me tell you something. If I was starting from zero, if I was a small business owner, not a social media marketing expert, if I was a small business owner trying to figure out how to grow on Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn, Threads, whatever, I would not listen to any of the advice out there. And that's, I know you're like, but Shannon, that's literally what you do. Hear me out. Well, of course, I'm going to say my advice will not steer you wrong. And I'll start with that. The reason my advice won't steer you wrong is what I'm about to tell you right now that I think you need to start doing. When I first started out as a social media manager, I started managing Facebook page at my corporate job, my 9-to-5 in 2013. Then, traumatic birth, blah, 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 decided to quit my job, stay home and start my business. So 2014 was still kind of like a hobby. I wasn't making like any money. Anyway, I was still trying to figure out how to get people to trust me, how to get people to whatever. Obviously, a couple businesses took a chance on me, and that was great because I was able to show social proof that yes, I know what I'm doing. I'm helping them grow. But let me tell you something. Back in 2014, 2015, there were no handbooks of how to grow on Instagram. And if there were, I either couldn't afford them. I couldn't afford any courses then. Anyway, I'll spare you the sob story. We've all been on my radar 2017, 2018. And that's when I was like, oh, this is people are starting to take social media marketing serious. And you can make money off this. The first 3 years of my business, what I did was kind of a joke. And I'm not trying to say again, no sob story. We've all been there. So I was in the newsroom. I was helping edit, I was helping document. I did fonts and graphics, etc. So again, it's not like I was writing news articles and stuff like that. So I still did kind of learn hooks, learn captions, but I learned it just from observing what type of content was going crazy on LinkedIn, on Facebook, on Instagram. I just studied. Now, again, I know you don't have time for this and this doesn't interest you. And that's why you're listening to this podcast. But again, I wouldn't listen to any of it right now because it's so conflicting. And I'm telling you, if I was following all the advice that's out there right now, not for me. I try to share stuff that will make you excited about Instagram. But a lot of marketers that I'm obsessed with, we're very alike in that way. But a lot of the clickbaity, wink, wink, type of content that quote unquote experts throw up to get views and likes and then leave it for people to misinterpret it and go bananas. And that's toxic type of fear mongering, marketing and predatory, but that's beside the point. That if I saw that and I was just starting on Instagram and I was doing all this, I would literally throw my phone in the river. I'd run it over. I would burn it all down. So what I'm trying to say is the reason I love sharing these tips with you guys is because a lot of it, I remind you, try it. If it doesn't work, cool. You know your capacity. You know your people. And if you don't know your people yet, that's a good place to start. A lot of people go into social media and they start posting and that works too. And actually, let me say something about that. But yeah, real quick, I will say you do want to do your market research and I'm going to go into how to do that market research here in just a second. But I also want to say if you look at big influencers that are blowing up right now, I guarantee they didn't take a marketing course. Some people are naturally good at it, right? But we learn from them to improve our content and kind of viral, hack what's working for them. Okay. So when it comes to getting to know your people, if you are struggling, you're like, Shannon, if I have to hear one more tip, even if it's for me, take a break, tell me to go, where, but seriously, I don't want to overwhelm you. And that's why I'm sharing this with you. This is what I would do literally if I was starting from zero. Even as a social media marketer, this is what I would do. I would ignore literally everything because most of the advice out there is tactics and not timeless strategies like I preach and many marketing people preach. Our stuff isn't as popular because guess what? We're not promising a magic pill. So there you go. So the content I see going viral right now in my field, I'm not going to succumb to that because again, it's whatever. But this is what I would do. God, I'm on one today. This is what I would do. Number one, this is your homework, friend. And it's easy, I promise. I mean, it's not, it's work, but it's easy. I would find at least 3 past clients or customers that that are repeat buyers, customers, clients, they've referred you out, things like that. I would find 3 and I would set up a Zoom meeting for 10 minutes and give them a Dunkin' Donuts gift card or wherever they want, a quick 10-minute or $10 gift card. I would say it's to pick your brain. It's just, I need to interview you and ask you 2 simple questions. The first question is, why did you buy from me? Or why'd you book with me? Why'd you blah, 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 blah? How'd you feel? And then how'd you feel before and after? And I want you to talk to them over Zoom. I don't want this on a survey. I want you to talk to them on Zoom or meet them for coffee, treat them to whatever. And I want you to write down that's why I want it on Zoom so you can record it. So basically, you really need to get down to the why of your client customers' needs, why their needs are their needs. And the more you understand your people, that is the number one thing of good content. Know your audience. The more you know them, the easier content will just flow out of you. And, a lot of the content right now going viral and going crazy, it feels like a FaceTime. Brands are simply just having more fun on social lately, and I love to see it. So, again, that's another reason I'm like, throw everything out and just talk to the camera, or again, grab a trending audio you like, use the hooks I share on this podcast and in my reels, tailor it to your industry, and use the words that you got from those interviews, looking at testimonials, all that research you did, and put it in your copy and really talk to them. You know what your people want to hear. You know what they need to know. You know what's going to make them laugh and smile, etc. You know that now once you've done that research. Okay. And then again, on top of that, I really want to make sure you know your core values, why your values are your values. I mean, all these brands have personalities, right? Even if you are listening and you're like, well, I am a corporation, or I have a team and there's 20 of us, or whatever it is. Wendy's has a personality. Poppy has a personality. I've talked about this before. But even if you aren't the face of the brand per se, just have fun. Throw a lot of these rules out the window. It really does come down to timeless marketing strategies, and then mixing those in with all that information you grabbed about your audience and tailoring what's working now to your niche. That is it. It's a 1, 2, 3. Obviously, there's so much I could talk about. That's why there's millions of books on marketing and courses. You're not going to nail it every time, and that's okay. But if you're starting and you're stagnant and you're just like, Shannon, I've listened to all the tips, even mine, you might need to go back to the drawing board, go from the beginning, get back to basics, get to know your people, do that market research, and maybe throw everything out and just post it. Talk to the camera. Again, I know the hooks I use go viral. I know the content I help my students create doubles, triples, quadruples their sales. I know what I tell you works. But at the end of the day, you need to know your people so well. And that comes from time, interviews, research. But you can do it. You can do it while you're on a road trip this summer. You can do it right now. I mean, turn this off, put 2 hours aside, email a few past people, ask if you can interview them, start looking into people's stuff, or again, hire a brand strategist. There's so many people out there that could help you, because a lot of people forget you need to start with that and then come to work with people like me and other marketers. But again, I just want you to know, if I was following all the advice, I wouldn't be here.